All right, welcome everybody. My name's Al Carty. I'm going to be your presenter this evening. What we're going to talk about tonight is what we like to call the financial revolution. I'm going to get right into it. What we're going to show you tonight, it's for educational purposes only. It's not meant to be, we're not in the tax planning business or estate planning business. You can seek proper advice for that. But today's objectives are really going to be to share some information with you that will benefit you and your family and the people you know, love, and care about. Secondly, to explain how by sharing and teaching others, it could be financially rewarding for you and your family. Our company is called Freedom Equity Group. These are the three founders of our company. They've been in business since 2002, but collectively they have over 100 years of experience. And the most important thing here to share is that they built a very, very successful company in the past. And when they sold that company, they shared the rewards with the people that helped them build it. Very important as we talk about our equity share in a little bit. We have some powerful alliances that we work with in the financial industry. Companies I'm sure you've heard of, companies like AIG, largest insurance company in the world, American National, National Life Group. These are companies that have been in business for well over 100 years, providing services for people for years and years. So we're pretty proud of that. So what is it that we do? To really summarize this very, very simply, here's what we do. You got two types of families, and you're going to hear me refer to family A, family B quite a bit in the next few minutes. But family A has an asset for their heirs. Now, family B also has that same asset for their heirs. However, they can use it for emergencies. They can use it for college funding. They can use it for tax-free retirement. But it's also an asset for their heirs. So if you had a choice to be either family A or family B, which one would you rather be? I'm sure you'd be picking family B. I know you can't speak on this call, but I know that's what you'd be picking. So what is exactly family A? Okay, we call it life insurance with no living benefits, or I'm going to call it death insurance. Here's we're going to call him Mike. He's a successful attorney. This is a true story, different picture. Mike had a great practice, family, home. Also had $1 million worth of life insurance, traditional death insurance. At age 44, Mike has a massive heart attack, requires surgery. Fortunately, he survived and still alive today. The problem was Mike was out of work, and in that time period, he lost his home, nearly lost his practice. But today, he still owns that $1 million death insurance policy, and unfortunately for Mike or his family, he didn't die. Obviously, that's a good thing, but in relation to death insurance, not such a good thing, right? Because nobody got paid. So the reality of it is, can you afford to live if something happened to you? In other words, if you get sick and can't go to work, who's going to pay your bills? You know, you could be sick and out of work for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and the doctors are being paid, but you're not getting any money from it. Who pays your mortgage? What about your car payment? What about health insurance? What about food? I don't know about your family, but in my family, my kids always want to eat 3 times a day, regardless if money's coming in or not. So the point I'm trying to make is, how long could you or your family survive financially if you were sick and couldn't work? Important question to know. Now I want to share an example of family B. This is Dr. Jonathan. This is truly who he is in the picture. Dr. Jonathan bought a plan with us for $825,000 for tax-free income. After one premium payment or 1 month that he contributed to this here, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, unfortunately. 4 weeks later, Dr. John received a check for $734,738 for his critical illness. Now, he's completed the treatment. He's back to work. He's also cancer-free. But he received a check while he was alive for $734,000. In other words, we teach you how you can become the beneficiary of your own policy. Okay? So why living benefits? Real simple. Every 40 seconds, somebody in America has a heart attack or a stroke. Every 66 seconds, somebody's developing Alzheimer's. The average heart attack, stroke, or cancer is age 43. Every year, over 6 million people suffer from heart attacks, strokes, and cancer. 70% of those affected survive because of advancements in medicine. However, 50% of those who suffer these illnesses go bankrupt. And important thing to remember, 80% of them have health insurance. So it's not about doctors or hospitals being paid. It's about the fact that they're out of work for an extended period of time and they can't afford to pay their bills. What we're talking about here is 3 what we call living benefits: critical illness, and we summarize this as, a major heart attack, cancer, stroke, and as many as 16 other potential illnesses. Chronic illness, that you can't perform 2 of the 6 daily living functions like eating, dressing, toileting. Now, a lot of times when people see this, they think that's only for the old. But in reality, well, there are people getting auto accidents and they can't do some of these things. Maybe they're paralyzed or something like that. Unfortunately, they can still be paid a chronic illness benefit while they're still alive. And even terminal illness, I'll share a quick story with you. Just the other day, I heard that somebody bought a plan 2.5 years ago, and they were diagnosed with terminal illness. They had a $250,000 plan. They received a check for $225,000. That allowed them the money to go out of the country to get the medical care that will not be provided for in this country. They have the money to go overseas to get that treatment. Real important. So terminal illness is something that maybe could prolong their life if they had the money to get the right procedure. So all these living benefits, folks, are included at no additional cost. See, people need our help. When you look at some of the things that you see online today, most of us know it as GoFundMe accounts. Here's a case where young father with cancer, his goal is to try to raise $20,000. He's raised $3,050 so far. The next one, a mother of 3 suffered major stroke. She's raised $965. She's trying to raise $3,500. Okay. Here's another one who has cancer. She's trying to raise $100,000. She's raised $165. Well, these are not uncommon things. Churches raise money for families when there's an illness that strikes. See, we can solve that financial problem for people because living benefits makes a huge difference. See, with us, it's protection no matter what. If you die too soon, your family would receive a tax-free benefit. If you get sick or injured along the way, at no additional cost, we've got critical, chronic, and terminal tax-free living benefits. And of course, if you live a long, healthy life, you can have 300% more spendable income by using the power of indexing, where you have gains with no stock market risk at all, can't lose any money, and its potential for tax-free income for life. Now, so it's the new kind of retirement and insurance all built into one. Now, living benefits are available through Freedom Equity Group 3 different ways. We like to call it rent it, own it, retire with it. Rent it, many people have heard of term life insurance. It's typically coverage that you can get till you're about 80 years old. It has no cash growth. It's very inexpensive early, but it's the most expensive long term. And it's really not designed to be in force when you die. Now, guaranteed universal life gives you protection guaranteed to be enforced when you die. Can cover you up to age 100, and in many cases, after 20 years, you can get all your money back. And then, of course, there's Indexed Universal Life, which is coverage to your 120. It has cash value growth with indexed gains, which means you participate in the upside of the market, but you have 0 downside risk. You have tax-advantaged income, and it's designed to be there when you need it the most. Okay? So which solution best fits your budget? We can identify that on a one-on-one basis. So you heard me refer to Family A. I'm going to say what Family A really is, and it's called death insurance. There's 149 million policies in this country, and about 99% of them are traditional death insurance, kind of like an old flip phone, whereas today, what we're showing people is Family B, which is like the modern smartphone, in many cases at less money, with living benefits to cover people if they die too soon, get sick along the way, or live a long, healthy life. So if I were to ask you this here, and you could answer, who do you know that wants to be Family B? I'm sure you'd say everybody, and everybody is the right answer. Because see, we are in a financial crisis in this country. 55% of Americans last year did not save 1 penny. 50% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck, and 70% of those same people don't like what they do. So think about that. they're just barely making it, right? Paying the bills week to week. And yet 70% of the people hate their jobs. So the fact is, why do we need to make more money? Well, look at statistics. In 1980, you could buy a home for $62,000. 2017, the average home was over $400,000. That's a 546% increase, or you could call that inflationary rate. Average family income was only $17,000 in 1980. 2017, it was $62,000. That's a 252% increase. That's less than half of what the price of a home has gone up. Look at a new car, 365%, but incomes have only gone up 252%. So the reality of it is, are we going backwards or are we going forward? Well, I think most of you would say we're going backwards because our dollar bought more in 1980 than it does today, clearly. So the question becomes, are you where you thought you were going to be 10 years ago? If you think back and try to imagine where you thought you would be financially right now, is it the place you thought you'd be? Most people say, no, not at all. I thought it'd be much different. So here's the question. What do the next 10 years look like? Some might define the definition of insanity as doing the same things over and over and expecting things to change. Well, the reality of it is, it's not going to change unless we make a change. So is it time for you to make a change? I don't know. You'll have to answer that. Let me show you how we get paid in our business. Now, very simply, we show people how to go from family A to family B. Real simple, okay? We take obsolete death insurance plans, I'll call them old, obsolete flip phones, and we turn them into new, modern smartphones or new, modern living benefit plans. And every time we do that at an entry-level position in our company, if you just help one family a week, that's $40,000 a year part-time. If you were a little bit more experienced, became a regional manager with us, same one family a week, make over $63,000 a year. That's more than most kids make coming out of college with a $100,000 student loan bill. Most kids come out of college starting at $45,000 a year on average. $63,000 a year, you can do that part-time, helping one family a week. If you got more serious about it and became a vice president with us, you can make over $80,000 a year to help the same one family per week. But some of you listening in here might think a little bigger than that, and you want to use the concept of leverage. Let's face it, we all have 24 hours in a day, but if there were two of me, I'd have 48 hours in a day, right? So let's talk about leverage a little bit and how you can build a business for yourself within a business. So we like to call that become a leader in our business or with Freedom Equity Group. You still help your one family a week, and that's $6,700 a month, or again, over $80,000 a year. But what if you just had 3 people in your business with you, and you taught them how to help 2 families a month, not even one a week, just 2 a month? Well, with those 3 people, that's an additional 6 families being helped, a total of 10. That's another $3,600 a month. That's a $10,000, over $10,000 a month income in one of the largest industries in the world, over $123,000 annually. And more importantly, that qualifies you for our equity share program. If you remember what I said earlier, one of the greatest attributes of our owners is they built a very successful company in the past. When they sold that company, they shared it with the people who helped them build it. That's what our Equity Share Points program is all about, and you can participate in that as soon as you reach this level. In essence, what I'm saying is you and your entire business could sit at a booth at Denny's. We're not talking about a big business here. We're talking about a small business with major impact on people's lives, and that's called living benefits. So we call our business risk-free because it is. You have a great income. You can travel if you like. Be your own boss. When I think back when I first got in this business 33 years ago, I was a 23-year-old kid, and I heard things like be your own boss, become financially independent, provide for your family, be in control of your destiny as opposed to my employer controlling what kind of car I drove based on the pay I got, or what kind of house I lived in based on my salary, okay? Where I could truly control my own destiny, literally be able to build a nationwide business if I chose to, all while doing great things for people, all while educating them on the value of living benefits, and in most cases at less cost than they're already spending, living benefits included at no cost. So now you can understand why we say it's a risk-free opportunity, because there's no major investment. You don't even need an experience. We will train you in this business. The right people will train them. You don't need any inventory. You don't have to worry about loss of job security, because we prefer you start part-time. You can keep your job. And I know you may not like it, or you may be one of those 70% of the people, and it may not be paying you enough money, but it can help finance your new career or your new business just by virtue of having income coming in while you're learning something new. We have no monthly fees, you have unlimited territory, and you truly have an unlimited income potential. It's all based on how you think, okay? We do this with high quality training, teaching people what to do, how to be entrepreneurs, how to be successful in the financial service business. So when we're evaluating a business, there's three things you have to consider. And I'm sure you will when you get off this webinar. The first one is there a market for the product or services that I'm going to offer? Well, there's 200 million people who need common sense solutions, okay? Is there money to be made? Well, it's a $7 trillion industry, and less than 5% of America, it's actually much less than that, even know what living benefits are. So if we talk about 149 million people who own traditional death insurance policies, less than 5% of those have living benefits. So is that opportunity big enough? It sure is. And lastly, can I do it? I think that's a real simple question. Can you show somebody the difference between family A and family B? Do you understand the difference between living benefits and no living benefits? In this brief presentation, I'm sure you got that, okay? So it's not a question of can you do it? It really is a question of, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to be part of a $7 trillion industry that pays lots of money to producers to help families by giving them the proper living benefits? So I don't know where you see yourself, but here's possibly where you could see yourself. Maybe just the benefits of the information we shared with you tonight. Of course, the person who invited you here would be happy to help you with that. Secondly, who do you know that could benefit from this information? I think you'd all agree that if you understand the concept we just shared tonight about living benefits, I'm sure you'd agree that everybody needs to get the information, okay? Thirdly, some of you may want to make some part-time money. You know, I talked about six figures here, but you know what? Let's just talk about, what if you made an extra couple of $1,000s a month? What would that do for your family? Think about if you helped just 2 families a month and made, you know, $20,000 a year extra income. How would that benefit your family? I'm sure it would help a lot, especially because 50% of America is living paycheck to paycheck. Now, some of you here may want to look at this and say, man, I would love to control my own destiny. I'd love to have my time be my own. You know, one of the greatest values or blessings that I have in this company, that because I work for myself, is I can build my business around my life. Most people have a life around their jobs, meaning they can't do things till after 5 o'clock because that's when they get out of work. They can't really do things till the weekend because that's when they have time off. See, my life is completely different. I work around my life schedule. So if we're traveling, I work around my travel. I do what I want to do. If I want to go to my kid's ball game, I don't have to worry about asking somebody for permission if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can take a day off. I don't have to ask anybody's permission for that. If those are things that mean something to you, then you're in the right place. And what I would encourage you to do is get together with the person who invited you here tonight, because we didn't answer all the questions. This was just to give you a little bit of a taste, if you will, of what we do, how we do it. The person who invited you here will be able to answer those questions for you. And I recommend you do that in the next 24 to 48 hours. The second thing I want you to do is make sure you say thank you to that person who shared this information with you tonight, because you know what? You may not have heard of this for another 20 years. Remember, there's 149 million people out there that own traditional death insurance. It wouldn't be there if they knew there was living benefits. But less than 5% of America even know what we're talking about. So there's a lot of work ahead for us to do. But what that also means is there's a lot of opportunity for those that are willing to learn something on a part-time basis, maybe be able to change their life down the road. So I appreciate you being on the call. I want to thank you because your time is valuable. Hopefully you got something out of this tonight. Again, I encourage you to get with the person who shared this with you tonight and get those questions answered. And lastly, I just want to say thank you.